Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Stab Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, movie trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show of the movie trivia Schmoedown. My name is Brad Gilmore, but you might know me by another name. You might know me as The Boat. Hashtag best of all time. Hashtag Brad's Pity True. Hashtag Boat Life. Hashtag I want a boat. And also, my man with the plan. Thinking of a master plan. He straps and adapts because he's a rubber band. His name is the man, Frank Janisch.
What's going on, Brad? 150.
That's right.
This is number 150.
Is this really?
This is 150. It dawned on me earlier today when I was getting ready, prepping for this, and I was like, well, this is 150. We're almost there to 200.
150?
Man, that's
what
crazy.
What are we doing with our lives?
What am I doing? I've done, I don't know how many of these now. I haven't done, what have I done? I've done close to 150, I guess, because I haven't done them all, but I'm close.
So, I came on in like episode 50-something, right? Like 52 or something.
I thought it was like
Right?
closer to 7. Maybe, yeah, something like that.
It wasn't close to 70s. I was somewhere.
Okay.
I was somewhere in the 50s. But shout out to everybody who made it possible. Aaron Turner, the man whose name I can never remember. B. Davis. Shout out to everybody who made this thing happen, man. 150 episodes. That's pretty dope. Shout out to you, Frank Janisch, and Chris Clark.
Yeah.
You know, the new trio. 3 the hard way, baby. 3 kings. Well, I don't know if I'm going to put that title on Chris. I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. Like, I love you. Royalty, I don't know. You make us laugh. Jester? Or you played the Penguin. Maybe now you can be the Joker? I don't know, man. But that Joker trailer was something
great.
serious.
I liked it.
Everyone's already talking like Best Picture.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
a little premature
I think we
here.
need to. I know. I think Roca tweeted it out, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh, if Roca said it, then I should pay attention
right.
to it.
I was like, I mean, it looks good. It looks good.
Looks great.
But I don't know how you can go, that was Best Picture. But I will say the one thing that probably could get Best Picture, it probably won't. But that Netflix one, Hail the King, I think it is, with Timothée Chalamet. I don't know if you've seen that trailer, but I haven't seen that. That one looks really good. But
Irishman.
Yeah.
I just want it to be Irishman, Joker, in-game.
3.5 hours of Irishman. You hear this? Is
that how long it is?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Love it.
I know.
Love it.
I'm with you.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's been a long week, Frank Janisch, because we kicked off with some of the singles matches, in the singles tournament matches in the movie trivia Schmoedown. Last week, we did a slight reaction to the Shirewolves final match with the KOrruption, Mike Kalinowski, Chance Ellison. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it all. First up, though, when you're talking about the tournament, I think we got to talk about brackets. Now, a lot of people have been filling out brackets, and I feel like this week of matches, especially the Friday match, the brackets are busted.
Yeah.
And that's why, Frank Janisch, I'm going to propose a new idea.
Uh-oh.
Because Ultimate Schmoedown is what, a 16-person tournament?
Correct.
Okay. So I feel like it would only be right for us to implement our brackets in the 8-person section of the things. So since there's only 8 of them, I feel like, statistically speaking, we would have a better shot of having a perfect bracket.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm looking at this not so much round 1. I'm looking at this as like qualifying matches to get into the 8-person tournament. Do you feel what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Well, yeah, I do. And, I like your style because, I mean, look, I did fill out a bracket before the matches and all that, but I'd like a redo. And, I'd like a mulligan.
Why not?
A mulligan,
A little molly.
A little test.
A little molly.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it, so I feel like we should do it, but just for fun.
Right.
How did you have your brackets breaking down?
So, I'm not going to,
Just do the 8 people you thought were making the next round.
Yeah, so I thought, I think right now, still Ben Bateman, Paul Preston will get to the second round. That means Paul over Lon Harris, Bateman over Liz Shannon Miller. And then I have in New York Ethan Irwin over Haley Fouch. I got Chance over Bibbs. I got Roca over Silvestrini, and I got the Machine Janine over Kalinowski. And I'll be honest, that one is just more for fun to pick that one, just because I know Kalinowski's fanboys will rage, and that's always fun to see. So that's where that one really comes from. But I mean, Mike's been on a tear, but also Janine's really good. So that's actually a very tough match to call. And the other tough one, I thought was actually pretty tough to call, is this Riley Stacey Howard one. We'll get into that when we cover it. Same thing with Whitney and Brendan Meyer. Those ones, well, I picked Brendan to win that one, and I picked Riley over Howard, but we all know how that goes now. If you're listening to this and you don't know, then I don't know why you're listening to this, but
I don't know either.
So.
I mean, we essentially have the same bracket. I switched Lon Harris instead of Paul Preston.
Okay.
And I think that's the only difference between you and I.
I'll tell you
I
this,
actually have Janine over Mike as well.
I'll tell you this about Paul Preston. I have him in the final. I'll tell you that. And I have Ethan Irwin on the other side coming into the final. And I have Ethan Irwin, once again, winning the tournament.
You have him winning the tournament?
I do.
Do you want to know who I have? Janine the Machine.
Do you really?
I
thought you might say Chance, because you've been hyping Chance all year.
I've been on Chance.
Yeah.
Now Chance, like here's my top three who I think one of these three people are for sure going to win it. But my pick is Janine the Machine. I think it's either going to be Janine, Chance, or Ben. I know these are all kind of outside the box thinking a little bit, but those are my three. I still stand by it. I love Ben Bateman. He knows that's my guy. Ben Bateman, that's my boy. His window is closing. I'm telling you. His window is closing. He's got to capitalize in this singles tournament. He stayed alive in this tournament by beating Andrew Guy in Houston, Texas. He's got to come through and make it to the finals, or get close, have a really competitive run. But like I said, I have Janine the Machine winning the entire thing.
That's definitely that's a kind of a dark horse pick. But I mean, Janine could do it. I mean, players who do really well in the first round, they have a shot to go deep. And Janine's one of those players. Kalinowski, he's up and down. I mean, you can say the same thing about Janine, but I think Janine also has a singular focus here with just concentrating on singles, not so much the team aspect yet. Kalinowski, he's been through it all this year. I don't know what kind of toll that takes on somebody when you've been playing, all these matches for how many months now. So for him to get in that spot, I mean, it could all be irrelevant. I don't know. So Janine going all the way, getting a big win over Kalinowski. I just think Janine is due for a big win by now, and I think it could come here in the first round over Kalinowski. And she lost him previously, so it'd be a kind of a redemption story in that sense. So, I mean, I got Janine over Kalinowski, but then I have her losing to Roca, and
Oh, she beats Roca. She beats him easy.
I struggled. I struggled with it. All these matchups are really, really tough when you really break it down and you look at it. I think the toughest one actually is the Ethan Irwin Chance Ellison potential matchup, that we could see a rematch there again from when Chance, that was Chance's first match, and that could be, and then he would enter that match as a champion. Ethan Irwin, a former singles champ. I mean, that quickly built up in a year just to see them meet again, which would be fascinating. But if Bibbs did beat Chance, then it's kind of another rematch of Bibbs versus Ethan Irwin when they had that triple threat match with Roca involved. So that whole upper right part of the bracket is absolutely daunting. I think the tournament winner will come out of that bracket right there, that top right. I think the winner of the tournament will come out of there. Everyone else, thanks for playing. Sorry.
I think Janine, I picked her in that manager bowl at Collision, and she almost won. Yeah. She really did. Robert Burnett, or not Robert Burnett, but
Drew.
Sorry, Drew McQueenie was able to pull that off for his team, but it came down to literally the last question, and it came down to a Leonardo DiCaprio movie that no one cares about. So I feel like Janine the Machine can make a really great run and win this entire tournament. I do think that the Chance Ellison matchups that he has ahead of them are interesting, and if him and Ethan, because I do think Ethan Irwin beats Haley Fouch this weekend in New York City, New York. I feel like Chance and Ethan, I feel like Chance wins that match. I don't know why. Now, I am also king of picking the crazy takes sometimes, and sometimes they pay off, most of the times they don't. But I really feel like Chance beats Ethan Irwin.
That's not...
Because I was listening to... What was I listening to? Maybe it was Collider Live. It was something where they were talking about Ethan Irwin and how he doesn't study.
I mean...
Did you hear... I don't know if you heard this.
I've been tuning in and out of Collider Live, but I catch it when I can. But I don't think I caught that episode.
Yeah, it was sometime this week, I believe, and they were talking about how he doesn't study. And to me, Chance definitely studies. You can say a lot of things about Chance, but I feel like he definitely studies, and he knows well more knowledge than he should, especially for his age. So that's who I'm picking. Chris, I want you to chime in. Who do you have winning the entire tournament?
Well, I have Bibbs winning the entire tournament. Yeah, I had the final it was going to be between Bibbs and Whitney, but that fell apart. So my 8, if you're asking that, is I had Riley beating Stacy. I had Harris versus Liz Shannon Miller in round 2. I wanted to see Janine versus Rachel Silvestrini in round 2. And I would like to see Irwin versus Bibbs, and Bibbs is going to come out on top between Janine and Silvestrini. I have Janine beating Rachel, sadly. I have Liz Shannon Miller beating Lon Harris. I had Whitney beating Riley, and then Whitney was going to make it to the final, and Bibbs was going to make it over Janine. So that was how my bracket turned out, and yeah. Well, sigh.
Well, that's not going to happen, Chris.
I know.
Right? So,
but
just
look,
to let
Bibbs
you know.
Bibbs is not a radical choice,
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Whitney was.
Yeah,
Whitney was a little far out. There.
I get it, but it was something I wanted to see critically acclaimed Civil War. That would have been great.
I mean, it would have been,
yeah.
for sure.
No, I mean, I wouldn't have minded it, but I didn't see Whitney being able to pull that off, especially when you look at the path that he would have to take. And I didn't have him beaten Brendan Meyer, and I feel like there's no time like the present, Frank Janisch. Why don't we talk about that match, Whitney Seibold and Brendan Meyer, since it's right here in front of us. Whitney Seibold has had a beef with Brendan Meyer ever since the Bibbiani of everything, the Bibbiani of it all. Bibbs kind of tutoring Brendan Meyer, Whitney getting a little bit jealous of it, and I explained a couple weeks ago how some harmless flirting can turn into some very bad things for a relationship.
Yeah.
And we saw that happen, and then...
Colorful language, yes.
Yes. And was I colorful? Then we see Whitney Seibold ask Robert Meyer Burnett to face Brendan Meyer in the first round of the tournament. He called his shot. This was what I like to call not a smart move. And because Brendan has shown me so much, and Whitney, I believe, 0-1 in singles at this point, and continues that run. Now he's 0-2 after this match. Didn't think that it was good. But what I did like about this match, amongst a lot of things, I like the entrances.
Yeah.
I know Bibbiani is somewhere out there screaming in jubilation that I'm bringing up the entrances.
Exactly.
But these ones were ones to bring up because we had Whitney enter as a downsized version of himself at first, which I always love the way that they do these things. When they go the extra mile for these entrances, they always really do well. The crew does phenomenally. By the way, did you see this Iron Man Tom Cruise thing that they put out today?
I did.
Holy
the deep
hell,
fake.
was
Yeah.
that good?
Yeah.
That was really good. Did they put that together, like in the studio?
I do believe so. I think Frank, the editor, put it together because I saw Mark Hernandez tweeted out, and I think it was like a little project of their own because there's another YouTube channel out there called like Control Alt Face or something like that, and he does all these deep fake videos. He has Jim Carrey over Jack Nicholson's face in The Shining and all this other stuff. It's crazy technology, and so yeah, I think they somehow got a hold of the technology or figured out how to do it, and yeah, it looked pretty good. It looked pretty good.
That was awesome. Anyway, I say that to say the crew kills it in all things that they do. And shout out to Cody Hall. Congratulations, by the way. I don't know if I did that last week, so congratulations to Cody Hall on the newborn.
Definitely.
But I like that entrance, but the kids was way better.
I mean, that one's an instant contender for entrance of the year.
It's a classic.
It's great.
It's an instant classic.
It's the
Or
best.
it's a modern classic, as the category says.
Which is an oxymoron, as Whitney Seibold said.
I don't know if you heard that. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I love that, the kid, I choose you.
It's perfect,
It's
man.
like,
It's so perfect.
I mean, Bibbs came out there with a very happy look on his face. You know why? Because he came out there with that hot, young, tenderoni Brendan Meyer, and he was feeling he's feeling himself. He's feeling himself. He's feeling his. You know what I mean? He came out there feeling like a new man, like I said he would. And what did I say a couple weeks ago, Frank and Janisch, when I was talking about the locking up of this match?
Something
when these two were going to
graphic,
lock
yeah.
horns. I said Bibbs needs to come out, and the kid needs to show the old one, I'm the new one, upgraded model 2.0. That's why he's with me and not with you. Lahu Sahur. That's what he needed to come out here and do. And that's what that fine, young, tenderoni Brendan Meyer did, man. He came out and he wrecked shop. He wrecked shop like an old school Houston hip hop label.
Well
floor is
said.
yours.
Well said. Well said. It was interesting to see Whitney Seibold. He walked out with his new partner, former partner, new partner, Mark Hoig, and so Bibbs walks out first and releases, I guess, the kid on Whitney. So very interesting entrances. Interesting to see them there. Whitney wanted nothing to do with Bibbs. He's just, I just want to take care of the kid, which obviously didn't happen. But
I got to give the kid so many props of living his gimmick, because he goes out to shake Whitney Seibold's hand.
I love this.
Whitney goes like this and does the old school, right, rubbing of the hair. And then the kid, as he's sitting down, he goes, I guess he had to fix his hair first.
it was beautiful, man. I was like, this is why I love this kid. Oh, so
It's
good.
like when Robert Meyer Burnett is like, you're too nice, and I hate you. And he goes, oh, man, he thinks I'm nice.
It's great. It's great.
He's killing it.
Brandon Meyer's great, and it's been a lot of fun to watch him this year in the Schmoedown for sure.
So match starts off, Frank. How are we feeling? What are we thinking?
Yeah, so the kid actually misses the very first question. Whitney gets it right, but at the end of those 8 questions, it was all tied up at 6. It was a very good round by both players, and this was to be expected, I think, because we all know Brendan. He has this pedigree of he can put up big points in that first round, 6-7 points, maybe perfect round is around the corner. Whitney Seibold, he's before had a perfect round in teams. Did he have one in singles? I can't recall, but definitely in teams. But he's another player that can score big points in the first round. So the fact that it was all tied at 6, this is the first match of the tournament, their first tournament matches individually. So maybe there was a little bit of the nerves, but 6 points is where you at least want to be. And so I thought it was a very good round, a very entertaining round, and it was definitely setting up what I thought was going to be a pretty tense match throughout. But as we all know, the second round, the new wheel, even this new wheel, has other ideas.
Right. The new wheel is I saw Chris Kaliski comment on our video from last week on the Schmoedown channel, and he was saying how much of a tank this new wheel is. And a tank is a pretty apt description. It looks like something that Judge Doom and Roger Rabbit would have to decapitate cartoons' heads, because it looks like a very vicious yet jolly fixture. And it has been to the demise of some of the players, especially this week in the Movie Tree Schmoedown. Round 2, more than any round this week, more than any round out of all the matches, and this includes the Shirewolves match. Round 2 has been so vicious to all of the players, in my opinion, at least on one side. Like one side
the losing
gets a
player,
category. Yeah, the losing player. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. The losing player really gets it bad in round 2. And Whitney Seibold, he got it bad. Da, 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 da. Right? I mean, like the old school Usher song. I think I've messed up the melody a little bit.
You definitely did.
Details.
You definitely did, yeah.
You got it bad. Na 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 na. Hang up. Call right back. Okay, it doesn't matter. He spins and he gets Oscars. He feels somewhat confident in Oscars, and when the questions came out, he shouldn't have been. I think Whitney didn't. I think he missed the first 3.
He missed the first. Well, Whitney spun opponents, and then Brendan Meyer gave him Oscars, and I don't know if that is intel from Bibbs, or if Brendan Meyer did his own homework and figured that out, because he was looking at that wheel.
Some pillow talk.
Right, there was some talk.
Some pillow talk.
Right, there was some talk. But I don't know if Brendan Meyer did his own homework, watched some of his past matches, and saw where he might could find a weakness, because he was looking at that wheel for almost the max duration you're allowed to, and he eventually landed on Oscars, and it was turned out to be a great move on Brendan Meyer's part, because you're right, Whitney got the first 3 wrong, and Brendan stole all 3 of those for a total of 5 points, 5 big points. And it was impressive to see in which the way Brendan Meyer stole those points. Two pointers, so there's no multiple choice help, but he knew them like that, and that's impressive, and that shows this kid isn't a fluke, man. This kid is not a fluke. You could say whatever you want about, well, they're first round questions, blah blah blah. Yeah, you got to know those, and he's proven that. But now he's proving that when it comes to isolated categories like Oscars, that he has particular strengths that are now starting to emerge, and he's only been in a handful of matches, so it's been a lot of fun to watch him all the way around this year.
Oh, without a doubt. And I thought that him, like I said, there was definitely some pillow talk, but I think that him going with the Oscars and then being able to capitalize on the steals, of course, I think it was, what was the last musical to win Best Picture? It was Chicago. Badass movie, such a great movie. Richard Gere in that is phenomenal. And then there was a couple other ones that he couldn't get it. Whitney would even go to multiple choice and just be
the Die Hard question.
Hair off. The Die Hard question, which I believe came in. Was that round 3 that came in?
Oh, that's right. You're right. It was Modern Classics. Never mind. Was it Modern? No, It wasn't Modern Classics. It was Action Adventure.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's Action Adventure.
Yeah.
Modern Classics.
Anyways,
was the Rocky question.
But yeah.
But it doesn't matter. He just couldn't nail it down. But in all due fairness to Whitney and to Brendan, when Denzel Washington movies came around, he did what? Okay, how many points did he end up getting?
Four total. He went 3 of 4, 2 multiple choice. So he got a total of 4 points. It was a 9-point round altogether. But yeah, he struggled a little bit, but he was able to maneuver his way around like a veteran player really should and can, and he proved that. So I like the fact that he went to multiple choice, and he was actually in prime position to knock out Whitney Seibel there in the second round. But as soon as he went to multiple choice on that second question, that went out the window. And then from there on, I think he was, he's like, I don't know if he was actually aiming for the knockout, because he needed a perfect 4-for-4 8-point round to knock out Whitney. But once that second round came, he went to multiple choice. Obviously, that's out the window, and then he just played a very smart strategic game for the next 2 questions. So it was, he struggled a little bit with Denzel, but I think he did a great job limiting the damage, and it helped that Whitney didn't steal a point.
Yes, but when we get to round number 3, Whitney Seibel has to answer all of his questions correctly before I think Brendan Meyer even has to go. And first question was, of course, Modern Classics. What was Rocky's brother-in-law's name? Paulie. That was what we call in the golf game a gimme.
That's right.
And then the second one was the action adventure of the quote about,
the quarterback is toast.
Toast, yes.
That quote for me was so iconic because of just the way he says it. But
yeah,
so I was kind of
the quarterback is toast. Yeah, really.
I was kind of stunned he missed it, but his explanation, I understand it. But damn.
And remind people what his explanation was.
The first time he watched Die Hard was when he was 30. So the first time I think I watched Die Hard, I was 13 maybe.
I was probably 7.
Yeah. Definitely should not have been watching the movie. It probably explains why you've turned out the way that you have. But Whitney didn't see till he was 30, and he hadn't seen it that many times. Apparently, he said he liked the movie, but it came back to bite him here.
Now, Frank Janisch, you are 30-something, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a movie that you haven't seen yet into your 30s that everyone would be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
What the hell is wrong with me? I haven't seen... I mean, I think it probably depends who you ask, but I think in this community, maybe, I've never seen Lawrence of Arabia. I know that's like a mortal sin to some people. I could go on, Brad. I could go on.
I can give you that one. I have an embarrassing one. I think I may have told this to you before, but I'm not 30 yet, so I have time. But I've never seen in full. I've seen slivers. I've never seen from start to finish Jaws.
Ooh. Didn't you also tell me last week you haven't seen start to finish Matrix? Or is that somebody else told me that?
No. I've seen start to finish Matrix.
Okay, maybe it was my other friend.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I saw all three in theaters.
Oof.
And I saw it when I was a kid. All of them
I mean,
when I was a kid. When I was in like 99 and 2000.
To be fair, for a kid, that was like the greatest thing I would, as a kid.
Matrix Revolutions. That was the second one, right?
Reloaded. That one
Matrix
was...
Reloaded.
Yeah.
As a kid?
I thought it was the greatest movie ever when I was a kid.
Awesome.
I thought it was the
And do
greatest.
you remember... I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was either Gatorade or Powerade. They came out with like a special Matrix Reloaded flavor.
Really?
Because remember, like Matrix Reloaded had all those like green line things or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't like
code.
Mountain Dew. It wasn't Mountain Dew?
It may have been Mountain.
Because it sounds like a Mountain Dew thing. I don't know.
I remember Powerade.
It could be. You're probably right. Yeah.
And I remember like begging my mother at the Kroger to get like 12 of them. Because I just thought they were the coolest things ever. And I felt like when I drank it, when you're a kid, you're stupid. I used to think when I ate Gushers, my head really turned into fruit. And so I remember drinking the Matrix Revolution or Matrix Reloaded Powerade and thought that I was Neo. Doesn't matter. How do we get on this? Oh, yeah. Whitney Seibold got that one incorrect. And then we go into his third and final one. I think it said name at least 3 of the greasers in The Outsiders.
Yeah.
And he said Matt Dillon, which was correct. And then he said Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, he gave up there. He had no idea. So.
Yeah, there was nothing he could do. So, Brendan the Kid Meyer, a.k.a. that fine, young, tenderoni, is able to beat Whitney Seibold and go on to the next round and do his new Boo Thing proud.
We're going to get Brendan Meyer on this show, and then when you introduce him, you have to do that. So he has to hear...
I definitely will.
Yeah.
Because he is a fine,
oh my goodness,
young, tenderoni.
His young Canadian ears, I don't know if they can handle it, but we'll find out.
Well, I'll tell him I'm sorry. Anyway.
You just insulted an entire people, but okay.
Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about this Mark Riley match and Stacey Howard in full here. But first, we got to talk about the promo from Mara Kanape.
Yeah.
She started kind of rattling off some stats on herself and some strategies on how to get this title shot. And as she's discussing, camera goes from like this, and it does the thing we call a pan. That's an insider term. It pans,
right,
and we see Dangerous Dan Murrell, who they are linked together in certain ways, and they're discussing strategy of how to. And Dan was like, "Well, you could jump out with like a chainsaw out of the forest.
Right.
I can give you my coveralls for that." And they're doing it, and then it ends with Dan Murrell saying, "Did we leave the oven on?" And she's like,
That's great.
"Do you even know how to use the oven?" He's like, "Okay, yeah, good point." What did you think overall of this segment? It's good to see Mara back on.
Yeah.
Is it weird that it feels like she hasn't been gone that long? Like when I saw her, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Mara.
Yeah, no, I think it does feel familiar and feels right.
Right.
Along those lines. And when she first came back, when she had that reveal in San Diego, I was curious, are we going to see a lot of Mara? Because if you're not competing, you're not really in these kinds of scenes, you're not really showcasing a sense. But so far she's had a few scenes now, and she's not playing. And this kind of gets at that point, per se. So what was interesting, I had to watch this like twice, just to figure out what she was getting at, what she was trying to do, because there's this whole thing about fear, making it her weapon, that kind of like dominates the rest of her like monologue, if you will. But in the beginning of this monologue, she says, quote, "You know, this whole title shot thing is just kind of getting me turned sideways, you know." So I'm thinking, okay, she threw out this shot to Kalinowski, and it wasn't reciprocated right away, right? And still hasn't been. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's what she's talking about. And then it goes on to say, I think it's time that I just really start putting everything in everyone's face, because you know the title shot's there. The title shot's there. That's an interesting way to say that, because she doesn't have a title shot. She just asked for one. It's not there. The only way the title shot is there is if Dan Murrell gives her the title shot. And I think this is supposed to be setting up the fact that Mara is going to join the Horsemen, and Dan Murrell is going to give Mara a title shot at Kalinowski. And that means, because she goes on here to say, the process of elimination says that if the people can play matches and I have a right to play them, she says a right to play them. Meaning if she has the title shot that's gifted to her from Dan Murrell, automatic, she has that right to play Kalinowski. You follow what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. But
Yeah.
do you think that Dan Murrell needs to give Mara Kanopik a title shot, or his title shot that he earned? Because I think if anybody can get a title shot,
Oh my gosh.
it is Mara Kanopik on her own. She can get it on her own. You know, she doesn't need any assistance from
I feel like this is like
Dan Murrell.
Sesame Street. This episode is brought to
She
you by...
is more than able to get a title.
Now, the listeners
Shot.
can't see what you're doing there, but...
I'm holding up a replica of the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and then a toy cap gun that I got from the Alamo when I was about 6 years old.
remember the
Title,
Alamo. Gotta remember it. Shot. Okay.
I think that she can get it on her own. But it is an interesting conspiracy theory, Frank Janisch. I like that you're reading in between the lines.
Well, here's the other thing is, because this holds... So remember last week, we get this reveal of Brandon Hanna maybe two-timing the Horseman. He signs a contract with the family. Now, I had kind of theorized, well, maybe this is some sort of ploy through Andrew Guy. They want to infiltrate the Horseman, blah, 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 break them up, or what have you. But then I said, well, maybe the Horsemen already know this is what Brandon Hanna's doing. Maybe Ben Bateman's trying to clean house a little bit more and have more of a finality to it all, exposing Brandon, tossing him to the side, because they know in the end they're really going to bring in Mara, who's an former Inner Geekdom champion. Thus, would make sense for Dan Murrell, or it would make more sense for Dan Murrell to give Mara a shot at the Inner Geekdom title, because if she won it, then that belt goes to the Horsemen and takes it away from Corruption, which we all know they have this feud that's been going on. It's been a one-sided feud, but nonetheless a feud. So, but it's all very confusing because it doesn't hold water when we get to the post-match of Riley and Stacey Howard. This is where things get very muddy. So, which way do you want to go?
Which way will we go? We will get to this. Let's put a pause on it. Let's get to it at the end of the conversation, because I have some words to eat. And Jerry the King Lawler always said, keep your words soft and sweet because you have to eat them later. Mine were very hard and tasteless. And it was one of the episodes, I think, Frank, where you were out on vacation, and myself, Brad Gilmore, was, here holding down the fort by myself. Even Chris Clark wasn't available for some unknown reason. And I said that Stacey Howard has the worst luck in tournaments because her first round is always going to be someone hard. I feel like in the singles tournament last year, her first round was Dana Murrell, right?
Correct.
And then in teams last year, her first round was Dan Murrell and John Roca. And then this year in singles, her first round was Mark Yodi Riley. I was like, this player cannot catch a break. And then I said that there was no way that Stacey Howard was going to win this match. I feel like, and this was my hot take, that we were building Stacey Howard up just because of her win against Mark Ellis all those seasons ago. We're like, oh, you never know about a Stacey Howard, And I was like, I just think that this is a false narrative that we're trying to build here. I don't think that she has the goods to beat these elite players. Remember I talked about Adam Lavick, like he can beat a B-level fighter, he can beat a C-level fighter, he can't beat an A-level. I thought that was the same as Stacey Howard. I'm like, she can beat a B, she can beat a C. We've seen her beat 1A, but she's never been able to repeat it ever since then. So, I say that to say, Frank Janisch, I am undoubtedly very incorrect on this particular instance because Stacey Howard came through, man. But none of us had Stacey, the three of us, that means, had her winning this match. Where did this... Let me ask you this. Instead of breaking the match down in a traditional form, it was Mark Riley's match to lose, in my opinion. At least walking in. He was the favorite. He was sitting in the favorite's chair. He's a former two-time champion, first ever champion, 5 horsemen, who's the boss, had a deep run in the team tournament last year. It was Mark Riley's game to lose. Where did it go wrong?
Yeah, second round. It went wrong for him. Getting dramas, that first spin, he knew he wanted to spin away, but that wheel said, no. You're stuck with dramas, and it hurt him. It hurt him bad because Stacey Howard had a great spin that worked out for her with Julia Roberts, on her second spin, and she went 304 for 6 points. Riley just 204 for 3 points, and he was already tied with her coming out of that first round at 5 points. So that's where it went wrong for him because, look, just jumping ahead to the final round, he went 3 for 3. He answered his 2, his 3, and his 5. Most times you're going to win the match, but if you have such a down second round, sometimes that deficit is too much to overcome, especially when your opponent can also hit their 5 to win the game. So, he fought for sure, getting his 2, his 3, and his 5. It just wasn't enough because he didn't do enough in the second round, and I felt like on his second question of the second round, he took a shot, didn't go to multiple choice. I'm not saying that cost him. I mean, you could say that because he lost by 1 point, and had he gotten that 1 point, maybe now they're in overtime, and who knows what happens. But second round says it all, really, because they were dead even at end of 1. He took care of business as best he could to the max in the final round. Yeah. Business. I've been listening to a lot of rap lately. No.
What does that mean?
Because they shorten their words.
Who is they?
Rappers.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. It all went wrong in the second round. It all went wrong.
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He went with dramas. And I was thinking about this. It's really funny that this happened to him because I have one of those Amazon Alexa Echo things, right? Mm-hmm. And forever I was on a waiting list to get the Echo Auto, where you can put it in your car.
Oh, really?
And it's like a small little device, smaller than an iPhone, and it plugs in your cigarette lighter, connects to your stereo, whatever. So I finally got one in the mail the other day. I was on the list for it for like a year and a half. It came in the mail like 2 weeks ago. Plugged this thing up, and I was trying to figure out everything that I could do with it. And then one of the things you could do is play Jeopardy every day.
Yeah. You can do it on a regular Alexa.
Questions of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they do 12 questions of Jeopardy. So I was like, oh, man. So I started playing this every day for the last couple of weeks. And a lot of the categories are like key to victory. And it's like the following answer will have the phrase key in it or the word key in it or, synonyms that start with A. It's stuff like that, so kind of specific categories. Or women who, blaze the trail, stuff like that. Well, today, when I'm playing it, the category she goes, your third question today, the category is, boom, history. And I'm like, history? What kind of history? American history, world history, recent history, history in
yesterday?
Automotive,
right.
History in aeronautics. What do you mean, history? And I thought, what a broad category. And then I was so thrown off by the broadness of the category, I didn't have time for my mind to focus on what was going to be asked of me. I say that to say which I feel like should be on a T-shirt because I do that all the
You
time.
do recently.
I say that to say, drama is such a broad category, and it's such a scary category, really, when you think about it. When you go to, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino, Julia Roberts, Steven Spielberg, modern classics even, these are all a little bit niche, some more than others. Drama is huge because who the hell knows what's labeled a drama?
Technically,
You know,
a lot
I
of
mean-
stuff is. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. The Martian was a musical or comedy at the Golden Globes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what...
I laughed a lot, Brad. I laughed a lot at that movie.
When he got trapped on the planet...
Hilarious. Oh, Crops
I do have to
died.
say-
Tears down my face. Crops died. Oh my gosh.
I do have to say,
Yeah.
Whitney Seibold, to go back to that, whenever Mark Ellis was like, and the category is comedies, and everyone goes, ha, 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 ha. And then I think Whitney Seibold goes, how comedic was it?
How comedy was it?
How comedy was it? So,
Oh, he was great this match with
Anyway.
his quips, actually. It was great.
his quips were great. But drama's such a broad category. I feel like it's so killer. Such a broad one. And I feel like compared to Julia Roberts,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, boom, okay, I know, Pretty Woman.
You have a starting point of where to jump
Steel
off
Magnolias,
from, you know?
yeah.
Whereas
Right,
dramas,
right.
you gotta really listen to the question to find your jumping off point. How do I get to the answer? Unless you obviously just know it right away. But if you're trying to, as Stacey said in the post match, context clues, you're listening for those, and so that takes away from your time of thinking of the answer. Whereas Julia Roberts, you're already in that mind frame. Pretty Woman, like, okay, I'm going through the movie right now in my head. I can figure it out.
Right.
Dramas, there's like an extra step or two to get to that point. So yeah, definitely those broader categories are more difficult, I would say, on average.
And for movies, they don't have the subcategories that like television does. Because when you talk about drama on television, you can talk about it's a cop drama, it's a medical drama,
Sure.
it's a legal drama. You have all those kind of subcategories that might help you out more. This is just drama. That's all you got, brother. You got drama. And it was really a dramatic turn of events for Mark Riley because, only getting those 3 points and Stacey doing so well in Julia Roberts going into that third round, you're right. He had to answer all 3 of them just to keep his head above water.
Yeah.
And then Stacey Howard, really, with the pull of the century, in my opinion, because I really feel like she was not sure of it. And the question was, in Step Brothers, they make a production company. What was the name of the production company? And I kept thinking, it's not Boats and Hoes. That was the name of the song.
Right.
It's not Boats and Hoes. What is it? What is it? And it was Prestige Worldwide.
What's interesting about that question is it's a fairly difficult question in the fact that
That's a 5-pointer.
it's a great 5-pointer because I can picture that scene and they're going back and forth rapping, Prestige Worldwide. But in my mind, I was thinking of it like, do they say Worldwide Prestige or Prestige Worldwide? What's the order?
Oh yeah, there you go.
So that's where I couldn't figure. I knew it was those 2 words, and I think I said Worldwide Prestige, and she was right with Prestige Worldwide. But the fact that this was, and Ken Napzok even says, these are the best 5-point pools that we've seen in quite a long time, if ever, in terms of the dramatics behind them. Are they right? Are they wrong? And this one was really set up, at least for me personally, because I was like, is it Worldwide Prestige? And she says Prestige Worldwide. And I'm like, is she right? Is she wrong? I mean, it was a great, great ending to this match. And it deserved it because it was a tough fight from both Mark Riley and Stacey Howard. And look, this just adds to the Corruption Horseman feud. And that's great.
It does add to the feud. I kind of feel, though, and we can talk about this more when we get into the Shirewolves Corruption match, but I don't feel like Corruption's such a heel faction anymore. I think that you have Grace Hancock, who's a heel to the fans, I think, right?
Sure.
I think she keeps it heel. You have Chance Ellison, who's more of a heel to the locker room. And then you have Mike, who people have started to, I think, really appreciate, and he's been really appreciative of his opponents. Stacey, who you couldn't help but be happy for when you saw this match because it was such a great win. And then you have Ken Knapsack. How do you not like Ken Knapsack? I don't think they're heels.
Yeah, there's what's interesting is in terms of heels, like, and even with Andrew Guy, like, you don't hate them. Like, you don't. I mean, when I watch Andrew, yes, I do. I was gonna say, well, when I do watch Andrew Guy, I love him, but it's because I hate him so much in the show. That's why I love him.
You're like, what an ass.
What exactly? Yeah. With Corruption, it's like, pick a lane, and that's I'm more frustrated than I am like peeved at them, when I should be more peeved at them than frustrated, because I'm like, just damn it, Mike, just don't hug and cry Rachel. Don't say nice things. Be a dick. But he can't do it, and that's fine. And this is what it is now. It's his own brand of heelmanship, if you will. So it is what it is. And you're right. There's somewhere in the grave. That's for sure, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, big win for Stacey Howard. Do you think that she has a path going forward? Could she be the dark horse candidate to run the table?
Man, because now she's going to run into Brendan Meyer. And the thing with Brendan Meyer versus Stacey Howard is Brendan, in his short time, albeit in the league, has proven to be more consistent, in my estimation, with the first round questions. Stacey, honestly, after this match, I go, you know what? She actually reminds me more of a Mark Andreyko type, where she has the full ability to bring it on any given day, but she is also suspect to these really low lows where you're just like, how did this happen? I thought she was better than this, or he was better than this, whatever the case may be. So I'm starting to look at her as more of a Mark Andreyko type before he got the belts, before he started going on that consistent run like he did last year and now this with teams. Can Stacey Howard be somewhat of that mold? I think so, because the stuff that she knows it. Like rom-coms, she's talking about. She knows all that stuff, right? She got Sandra Bullock or Julia Roberts, what have you. Like, it's over, and that's usually a weakness for the opponent normally. So she's got that leg up. So if she missed a question, it's not like they're gonna steal, more than likely, unless you're playing Josh McCoog, I suppose. But could she do it? Yeah, why not? I mean, she's got Brendan Meyer, who is inexperienced in the Schmoedown, especially in a tournament. Stacey's been through some stuff already. She's been around for a while. She knows how this whole thing's operated. Brendan, he does come from the entertainment side of things in this world, so it's not like complete foreign tournament. But he did say he was nervous in his match. Is that going to happen here against Stacey Howard? And she is going into every match the underdog, no matter what. And that's got to be a benefit to her.
But she's got momentum.
But you're right. She has momentum, but she's going to go in as an underdog against Brendan Meyer. You think, no?
I mean, yeah.
A small one, if anything,
Yeah, in my head, she's the underdog.
Yeah.
But I don't know how fair that is.
No,
I don't know how fair that is.
No, you're right.
But in my head, she is the underdog.
But if I'm looking at the rest
that could just be
of the community, I think when you look at that poll, they're going to go, Brendan Meyer. Because what is he, Brad? What is he? He's the hot what?
He's a fine, young, tenderoni.
And everyone loves him. And so it's kind of like the same thing that was happening with Mike, albeit his was more justified because he had a track record and all that. But people were just picking him, especially in that poll between Bateman and Snyder and himself. He was through the roof. And, he didn't make it all the way, but people were so on board with him that they're going to pick despite what the traditional convention might say.
Well, Yeah. What maybe the stats might say.
Right.
In some ways. I think it's a big win for Stacey Howard, man.
It's great.
Corruption continues to kill it, and I feel like Frank Janisch, now is the time to talk about it. Now is the time to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
We had our instant reactions last week. We didn't go fully in depth together.
Right.
The whole live stream went a little bit longer than I expected. Because I was told it was just the match. Remember, I thought it was just going to be the match, and then it was a lot more than just the match.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of everything about the live stream. But Rachel and Clark no longer active competitors in the league. It's kind of weird now, even a week.
Yeah, it is
from
weird, you know?
to realize that they aren't active competitors. But what a god dang send-off. I mean, the best. Obviously the best send-off ever. Really the only send-off of this kind, but just we've seen players come and go before.
Right.
We've seen players retire. Jason Inman kind of did it, quietly. Sam Levine did it more publicly, but we didn't get to see him compete one more time. This was they said, "Hey guys, if you ever want to retire and you're a champion, here's how you do it."
Exactly. Exactly, man. The whole after the match stuff was fantastic, and I thought, they pulled out all the stops for them, and deservedly so. And it was great to watch, and it was great to have this. It's kind of like closure, I guess. It's not just boom, it's done, like you noted with Levine or Inman. So it was nice that we had this type of send off, especially after the match that we just had.
Yeah, so let's talk though about the match itself. You went into it a little bit in your instant recap. I more so talked about the moment that we saw, but walk me through. Let's walk through all 5 rounds here. Start off with round 1. How did the score end there?
So it was 15-13 in favor of Corruption. Rachel Cushing had 7, Clark Wolf with 6. Chance, he had a perfect first round plus the bonus, so that's 9 points. And Kalinowski had 6 points. He was the guy that I was interested in seeing how he would bounce back from his matches with Bateman and Snyder, because obviously those were taped before this live match.
Prior.
Right, so it was, how would he, respond with that? And, 6 points, that's all you really need. So especially when Chance puts up 9 of his own, so it gives you 15 points. Clark Wolf bounced back from that 2-point round she had against the Odd Couple when they reclaimed the belt, so for 6 here. Look, the Shirewolves have not led after round 1 since winning the title, but yet they still won 2 of those 3 matches. So it wasn't obviously a death sentence for them, but it doesn't feel good, especially when Chance goes 9 for 9. And I had said it in our pre-match live stream in the Facebook group. I said, I feel like this match is going to come down to Rachel Cushing versus Chance Ellison. I think they were the top 2 most knowledgeable people at that table, and this first round really demonstrated it. And there's other areas too where that demonstrated it. So Chance, it did not surprise me that Chance went perfect round. I think we got, after that movie release date question, I was like, man, he's gonna go perfect.
Yeah, and man, did the brother hit it out of the park. And I gotta say, I said that I had a crazy prediction that Mike Kalinowski and Chance Ellison would get knocked out. I said it wouldn't even make it to round number 5. But I just really wanted to call my shot, like Babe
Sure.
Ruth. And if I connected,
Oh, you're a
how much of
genius.
a genius
Exactly.
I would look like. I would look like the smartest
Now you're just like an
player
idiot like everybody
in the
else.
league. Now I'm a moron.
Yeah.
But I'm probably the biggest moron when it came to this match. But in the middle of it, and I even talked to Christian Harloff, and I don't think that he'll mind me revealing this. During the entire match, I was kind of like, I don't know who I'm rooting for. I started off full Shirewolves. And then, as the match started going, I was like, but it would be great for them to go out on their backs looking up at the lights and kind of pass the torch in a really traditional way. And then I'm like, do I want to see a title tournament? Do I want to see that? I was like, man, I think I want Corruption to win. And then a couple of rounds later, I'm like, Shirewolves pull this one off. And Christian Harloff, who was calling the action live at the desk, he essentially told me the same. He was like, I was going back and forth on who I was rooting for all the same reasons. And I think that a lot of people were. And maybe also a lot of the wrestling folks, because for me, I was like, the tradition is you go out, with a loss. And you put the new guys over. And that's what I started to feel like. But let's talk about round number 2 here, because round number 2 is where the balance of power here shifted greatly in Corruption's favor. I was pretty impressed by the luck of that third wheel, because they were able to come up with Jimmy Bond.
Unreal.
When 007 came up for Corruption, I was like, oh mamacita. We have new champs. I almost thought it was automatic when I saw that. I thought, this is it.
I thought, yeah, I was like, damn, dude. Like, Shirewolves are down by 2. They can come back from that. It's not anything.
Right, 5 rounds.
Right, you know?
Yeah.
But it all has to start in the second round. And Corruption, they go first. They land on 2000s. I was like, these guys are gonna spin. They're gonna spin. They're looking for Pixar. They're looking for Bond. It's not, come on, just go ahead and spin the wheel. They spin it, hits Bond. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. They have not relied on Bond this entire run up to this point. I think maybe they hit it once. Even then, don't think they did, actually. But if they did, it was only once. It happens here, in this match, for the team titles. Oh, by the way, the Shirewolves are retiring. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is pretty much 11, 12 points guaranteed. You know, I felt more on the 12-point side, to be honest. The fact that they went the multiple choice just once on that last question, I was like, whew. I was like, any little bit that they can, you know, chip away at the Shirewolves, they're going to need. And Shirewolves, they get drama. First spin, take it, because they're legit. They're not scared of anything. And they go and they attack it, and they end up with 10 points. 10 of the available 12. Not able to chip away at that lead. And they, in fact, actually lose another point, so Corruption gains gains another point for their lead, so it's a 3-point lead, as opposed to after that first was 2. So I go, man. And now here comes the third round, and I go, be aggressive. What do you got to lose? You're retiring. I know you kind of want to play your game, but it's like, look, they just got Bond. You're down by 3. Bet 3. And I guess I was surprised they didn't bet 3.
Yeah, the non-betting of the 3 was pretty interesting. To go back to the Bond thing for a second, I might tweet this video out. I might just send it to Mike Kalinowski, but as the questions were being asked, I recorded myself live.
Did you?
I recorded the TV,
Mm-hmm.
and then I answered the questions as it came across. The only one I wasn't able to get was the Desmond Llewellyn question and the John Cleese question. I said, GoldenEye, it was World is not enough. But this is me fresh off the bench, not studying. I got everything else correct. Just want to throw that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's 2020. 2020.
By the by, here's what I did.
2020 James Bond exhibition. Just want to put that out there. Look no further. And I'm calling you out, Mike Kalinowski. Anybody else who thinks they're good at Bond, Tim the Tank Franco.
That's right.
I'll take you all on, sucker. All right, anyway. But I was surprised they didn't do 3. Why do you think they didn't do that? What do you think they were trying to do? Were you thinking they were like, well, you know what? Let's just stop the bleeding. Like, if we don't know it, we don't want to be down that much more.
Yeah, I think that's what it.
This is a safe bet.
I think that's what it was, and like I get it if it's a category that's not drama. That's what kind of threw me, because it's like you just went through drama and you really killed it, and it's drama. And you didn't go 3. I know you're. It's probably that you're afraid if you do miss and they hit, then it's wide open. But I mean, at that point, kind of like, what's one more point? So yeah, it's had they bet 3, it doesn't really change a whole lot, but it might put more pressure. I don't know if it would even put more pressure on Corruption going into that speed round. Maybe Mike jumps in there or too quickly, or even Chance jumps in too quickly, and something funny happens there. But you never know. You never know. It's always this woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of thing. But it is what it is, and they both got it right. So it was just, and we're done with that.
Yeah. Now let's move on to round number 4. And in round number 4, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
In round number 4, speed round, Chance Ellison came to play.
Yeah.
And this is when I started having flashbacks. I started having flashbacks of a certain place in which the movie Trivia Schmoedown is going to be performing live in today, when most people are seeing this, New York City. Started having flashbacks to New York City because Chance Ellison did play in New York City, but that's not the reason why I was having flashbacks. When I saw Chance Ellison in the speed round, I started having flashbacks of something that the boat said. And the boat said on that stage in New York City, New York, that he believed, the boat believed, that Chance Ellison would be a champion by the end of the season. I remember the boat saying that. And when the boat said that, everyone was like, oh man, boat, you're a little crazy. And then I started seeing Chance Ellison playing here, and I was thinking that the boat actually might be right. Chance dominated the speed round, Frank.
Yeah, and by a slim margin, it was 3-2, him versus Rachel. And that's what
It just felt like... okay, go ahead.
And like that's what I said in our live stream pre-match preview on Facebook. I said I feel like it's going to come down to Rachel and Chance in this match, and Rachel jumps ahead with those first two questions. I said, oh, here we go. Like, they're doing exactly what they need to do. But then Chance, he comes right in there at the end, picks up those three huge points because Rachel was coming. The Shirewolves were coming, and he put a stop to that. Full credit to him. He was able to, in that moment, if he had any jitters or any nervousness, it didn't show. He was on it, and kudos to him. 3-2 in that round. Again, netting them another point, just slowly adding another point round after round, and the deficit was too much in the end, really.
But there was still a chance.
God, was there ever?
Now, when Chance Ellison, he almost fumbled the football.
Oh yeah, he almost he almost became the Seattle Seahawks. Is what he almost became.
Yes, he almost threw it when you just should have handed it off to Marshawn Lynch. What would remind me of the question?
It was about who co-directed with.
Was it
Singing in the Rain? Yeah.
Okay. And he kind of misheard it, I think.
Yeah, because he was confused
He was like,
from the get.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, no one co-directed," and then and Seattle Seahawks is a good one, but also, have you ever seen the clip of it was in college football? I don't remember what it was, but this guy breaks the tackle at like the 15-yard line on their 15-yard line. Mm-hmm. He starts breaking off. He's going, man.
He drops the ball.
They're about to win the game. Yeah, and he gets 2 yards away from the end zone, and he starts to do his dance early, and he throws the ball like behind his back, like he's like like he broke the plane,
right?
And he hadn't broken the plane yet, and it was considered a fumble, and ended up not getting the touchdown. And that was what I was thinking. I was like, Chance, the boat is almost right. The boat, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. I might be right about something. And then he almost screws it up. If that cost them the game, it would have been the worst moment in Chance Ellison and Mike Kalinowski's career.
Oh, it would have been of epic proportions, of which we probably cannot even fathom because it didn't happen. Like, so going into that final round, Brad, I was like, the Shirewolves, they need a damn miracle here. They legit need a freaking miracle here. And when Chance takes, it turned out to be the category is musicals, right? So I was like, well, there's no way, or classics. It turned out to be classics. That's what it was. I was like, well, I don't really see Mike taking that one. Chance, I know he knows his movie history, so he's probably the best bet to take this one. He does take it. And not to say that Mike doesn't know his stuff, but Chance has proven it, at least in the ring, to my eyes. So I was like, Chance probably going to take it. He gets it. And I was shocked he looked somewhat confused. I know, I didn't know the answer, but I was just shocked that he looked confused. I was like, whoa, he really doesn't know this? Like, holy crap, that's a 2-pointer. It's classics. He knows. I know he knows his stuff. How is he struggling here? And even, so he gets it wrong, and then he's going, wait a minute, and even Rachel says, like, yes, they did say co-direct, and he's like, oh, he messed up big time. Again, didn't ask for a repeat, it's like the inexperience factor. You have to think that played a big part here, because in that moment, if you're confused from the get, ask for a repeat. Ask for a repeat. This is, for the freaking title. Ask for a repeat. I know it's a 2-pointer, but every point matters, especially when you're playing against the Shirewolves, or just in general, a title match. Ask for the repeat. I was stunned he didn't ask for the repeat. If you're so confused, and he just gave what he thought should have been the answer, or would have been the answer, I guess. I don't really recall what he said. And it turned out to be what I thought was the start of the implosion. Because then Mike gets his 3-pointer, and it's Pixar. I almost laughed my ass off when that happened. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, oh my god, this is really happening? Is this really happening?
Right now. Yeah. And then, of course, Mike doesn't get it.
Right. And then it's a question that Chance, as we all know, that's his expertise.
Yeah.
He would have got a no sweat. Even in the post-match, they say, had they just flipped, that would have been it. Or actually would have been it with just the 2-pointer, right? So, no, it would have tied.
Yeah.
But, no, it would have won them the game, right? Yeah. Because they were.
No, I think
it was 31-32.
Oh.
Had they answered the 2-pointer, they would have won, yeah. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
They had 2 shots right there.
It was incredible. Now, they ended up getting their 5-pointer right, which I don't remember.
The category was rom-com, and I do not recall the exact question at this point. It's been a couple weeks.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They get it right. It goes over to Shirewolves. It pretty much comes down to the Shirewolves' last question. They go through the repeats, and I didn't know. For the first time, I really didn't know. I had a feeling like they didn't know it, but at the same time, I was like, how great would it be to repeat, 3, 2. Oh, here's the answer. Biatch.
Well,
and just...
they're not a team that would slow play that kind of thing. I thought maybe they had an idea.
Not typically.
I mean, true. Yeah, for this instance.
But I thought maybe for the
as a
moment.
walk-off, sure.
Yeah.
I think
would...
they were... I wasn't sure, because sometimes when they get into that mode, where they kind of like huddle up, they had like, okay, I think it could be this, and I think it could be this. Let's exhaust all our repeats to try and whittle it down to figure it out. And I thought that's what was going on there. And man, as you get to that, after you get past that second repeat, I go, I don't think they know it. It's just you get one of those gut feelings. You're like, it's too much time now has passed after that second repeat,
Yeah.
Because once you start hitting the countdown and you need to hit that third repeat, usually, I don't know of the numbers on this, but it's not a good sign. And so I was like,
statistically speaking, it's not that good.
Not that good, right?
Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where Jerry Stiller's talking to Elaine, and they're talking about how he dated this woman in Korea when he was in the war, and he's like, I'll never forget. Her father told me, and he says something in Korean. He goes, which translates to, this guy, he's not my type of guy. This translates to, not that good.
Nah.
But anyway, continue.
So they're going through the repeats, and I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, and what's fascinating, actually, I should bring this up, because this never happens. But one of my sisters has recently kind of started binging the older episodes of the Schmoedown. Let's do it on podcasts, and occasionally watching them. And she's just been going through all the seasons. And so by this point, she knows about the Shirewolves, and she's a big fan of the Shirewolves. So, actually, my one sister and then my other sister, who doesn't really pay all that much attention, is aware, but doesn't follow it like you or I or even my other sister does. And so it was actually me and my two sisters we were watching the match together, because my sister, who just kind of started to get into it, realized it's a pretty big deal, and my other sister, at least I think, just didn't want to be alone, maybe. But so she came in and joined on the fun. Just came in and joined the fun. But it was great because it was very engaging, even to my other sister, who doesn't watch it really all that much, or really at all. But it was enough of a moment that it drew in my sister to really be invested in it, and that was cool to see. I mean, that's the power of the Shirewolves and the power of the Schmoedown as a whole. It can draw you in, especially when you have these big moments. And as they're counting down, three of us, we have no idea what's going to come out of this as they're counting down. First repeat, second repeat, third repeat, 3, 2, 1. It wasn't meant to be for the Shirewolves, but it was a hell of a moment. It was a hell of a match. It was a hell of an ending. And if they were going to lose to a team, ideally, sure, not for Rachel personally at least, not to Mike Kalinowski, to get both her belts taken off her from Mike. Sure, that stings, but maybe it stings a little less just knowing that that their relationship that they have and the type of guy that Kalinowski is, and he's fully deserving of everything that he earns, obviously, especially when you win it from Rachel. I mean, that just is even more of a solidification of what you're doing currently in the league. So as that match was unfolding, and it really felt like it wasn't going to go Shirewolves' way, I was more and more coming to terms with they're going to win the belt. It's going to be all right. This doesn't detract anything from the greatness that the Shirewolves have established. It's just one of those things. And they still played great. It was a great match from both teams. Chance showed up huge. Rachel, again, showed up huge. Clark, gave it her all, and it was a fantastic match.
Yeah, and it ends with a very early January prediction from Brad Gilmore becoming correct. Chance Ellison is a champion. Mike Kalinowski is double belted.
Third ever.
Third ever, and now the Shirewolves are no longer. But there was... Go ahead.
One quick note about, because I was curious about, because it was brought up in the match, I believe, or maybe in the comments I read it, about Chance almost having a perfect match, having a perfect game. He had perfect first round, nailed 3 speed round questions, didn't miss one of those, but then he flubbed on that 2-pointer, right? So he almost
didn't
had
miss anything in the round 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And not even the round 2 per se.
I'm just saying.
Right, but they didn't miss right. And yeah, you could take that into account as well. Chance would have become only the second player to ever do it in a title match. The only player to do it. Who do you think it is?
Well, I think that it's Dan Murrell.
In a title match. I'm sorry, in a title match. In team title match. To not miss a question.
Oh, a team title match.
Yeah, team title match.
I would like to think it's Rachel Cushing.
It is Rachel Cushing. She did it against... critically acclaimed when Bibiani was in fact also pitching a perfect game until he missed his third round question. I think it was a 2-pointer as well. So Rachel Cushing, still the only player, and actually weird fact is she's the only player to have perfect matches, if you want to include the team one, in singles, teams, and inner geekdom. That's how she ends her career.
Wow.
The only player to do it.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's not a bad stat, Frank Janisch. Well, the match is, concludes, and then the celebration kind of begins with a lovely package from Nerd Chronic with a lot of shout-outs from all the fans. The boat was in it. Why wasn't Frankie in it? Why didn't I see Frank Janisch?
I forgot to send my video.
You were the one who told me to send it.
I did.
Don't forget.
Did tell you.
You told me don't forget.
Did I say don't forget?
You're like, send it to him by Monday.
Yeah, that's what
Don't forget to send it to him by Monday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I forgot. That's okay.
And I didn't. And
you didn't. Yeah. Dude, believe me, I felt bad. I was like, I'm watching this thing. I'm like, damn, Brad sent his. If you had not sent yours, I'd have been like, all right, cool, fine.
All right,
but you sent yours, and I was like, oh boy. Yeah.
Not only did I send mine, I like lit my shot. I made sure it was framed well. You know what I mean? I put on a tripod. I went the extra mile, and Frank Janisch did nothing. But there was a really good package, and a very emotional package. Yeah, a very emotional package. And then a series of people came out to kind of congratulate them at the table, whether it be a Mark Riley or a Mike Kalinowski. Sam Levine sent in a text message.
Yeah.
And he was
actually here in Chicago for Wizard Con.
Yeah. And so, everyone kind of showed their love to the Shirewolves, and I thought it was just a beautiful, beautiful exit.
And
we
we have to mention when the Shirewolves walked out, Emma Fyfe and Mark Andreyko as the Five Club. It was a very nice moment.
Yeah.
And then obviously then
Return
at
of
the
the Five
desk.
Club.
Yeah. Then again at the desk.
And
So
then, yeah, and they were able to kind of have that kind of family reunion, and send it out that way, man. And I said this in our post match reactions that was on the show last week. I said, I really hope this retirement is like wrestling retirements. And in wrestling, when you retire, you always come back. So
Yeah.
please, Rachel Clark, come back.
I think
Please come back.
I think
they're going to.
I don't. The only
I think Clark comes back.
Clark is the only one I'll put money on coming back, just because she'll be at the desk more regularly and might get that itch, and maybe she'll eventually compete in her first free for all ever. She has not been in the past couple of ones, so maybe she
That
will.
would be cool.
Maybe she will for that. Maybe Rachel will too, just because it's an exhibition thing, and maybe she'll be like, oh,
Yeah, maybe Rachel versus Clark exhibition match.
No, I don't want to see that. And look, people want to see an exhibition match between Shirewolves and Patriots. I actually don't. I don't want to see the Patriots versus the Shirewolves. I don't want to see Shirewolves versus Above the Line. You want to know why? Because I love the mystique that we have
Of not knowing.
I love it too much to have
Like
an ex.
LeBron versus Michael.
Right. Well,
Ali versus Tyson.
'cause-
We just don't know.
Because you can say it's an exhibition match between the Patriots and Shirewolves, and it doesn't count for anything, their records. Oh, but it counts. It counts for everything. Like, you can't hide behind the fact that there's exhibition on the screen. So, and you're not going to get those teams at their primes. They're at different points. You know, they're in retirement mode, and Snyder and JT haven't played in a while. Together, at least. I mean, they had that match against Schmoes in the exhibition earlier.
Right.
But even still, like, I just like the mystique of it all, and I wouldn't want to ruin that, because that's the part of the fun of sports, is you can kind of compare the Golden State Warriors to the 97 Bulls and all that. You know, it's fun to have those discussions, and then... Exactly. And so then if you have an exhibition match, quote unquote, it takes away from that. So as much as I understand the want to see it, it's a lot more fun that it doesn't actually than to see it happen. My opinion.
Yeah, no. So we may see that, we may never see that, we may never see them again. But what a send off that it was. Chris, I want to give you the opportunity. Do you want to say anything about the Shirewolves' final match?
Look, they are two of the best people in the league, both off camera and on. We all love Rachel and Clark to death. They're amazing. And I feel like even though they lost, it doesn't really matter because of their long-lasting integrity of the game. They stayed, they conquered, they did what they needed to do, and they rocked this sucker to the end of time. They're amazing. And queens.
Yes, and queen.
Yes,
queen.
Yes, queen. No, I agree.
Yeah.
And that was well put, Chris. This loss took nothing away from their legacy at all. They lost nothing in this loss. They almost gained spots.
I mean,
on Mount Rushmore.
the only thing it does, and I said this in my little recap, is it potentially starts the actual legacy of Corruption. They have a huge jumping off point now with this win over the Shirewolves. They're lucky to get that win, because that is a huge leg up if you want to build something, epic with this. Now, the thing is, you can't really squander this loss against the Shirewolves if you can't defend it spectacular, because then it's like you had this opportunity to go on a run that could put you through the stratosphere potentially, right? So will they be able to do it? Who comes out of the teams tournament? I don't know, man. It's gonna be crazy.
I don't know. I'm excited. I do want to see a 30 for 30 special, Cushing versus Kalinowski. Like, I just want to see this special, like just the entire story of their rivalry, because it's so great. But I think that hopefully there's rumors, there's rumblings that y'all might hear more about this match next week. I'm just gonna leave it there. But let's real quick, Frank Janisch. We're gonna go around the table, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna pick our picks for New York.
Gotcha.
All right, we're going to have them on the record here. I'm going to go first. The boat has precious primetime shark Paulo Yama. I have the shark going out there and beating Jeff Snyder, much to the dismay of one Roxy Stryer. But I have Jeff Snyder losing, Paul Oyama winning, and then I have, of course, Ethan Irwin over Haley Fouch. That's how I see it. Let's go to Frank. Frank, who do you got?
So Ethan Irwin, Haley Fouch, I have it Ethan Irwin, but it comes down to a 5-pointer. For the Paul Snyder match, Paul and Snyder, I'm going to go Paul, and he wins it on his 3-pointer in the final round.
Okay.
Doesn't even have to answer his 5.
How much.
Yeah.
I wonder how much a flight from Hawaii to New York is. Yikes, brother. And how long it is.
That's
yikes, brother.
Maybe that's like 10, at least 10 hours, maybe? No, longer. Maybe
Really?
10 or 12. Yeah.
Why? Hey, wait, hold on now. Chris,
And he's
I'm about to come
losing.
to you.
He's losing like half a day as well.
Chris, I'm about to come to you, but I don't know now. I don't know. That kind of changes things for
Well,
me.
here's also the other thing. And I've talked to him about this actually. He flies from Hawaii to LA pretty frequently. And he says, and when he played his match against Brendan Meyer, he said he got in the night before, late, like 10 o'clock or something like that, and he had to play Brendan Meyer at like 9 or 8 a.m., whatever, the next day. So it's not like
I don't know.
he's foreign to weird time changes and scenarios. And look, I think he's gonna have at least, I don't know when he's getting into New York. I would imagine tomorrow at the very latest. He'll have a whole day to readjust and whatnot. And the match isn't until Saturday night anyways. But look, it is something to think about.
Oh, Chris Clark, who you got?
No, I have Jeff Snyder beating Paul Oyama because he's the best teams player ever because
Right.
of the Patriots and his run there. So I think he has the knowledge over Paul, and I think Irwin is going to redeem himself from January, and it might just be the whole atmosphere of the room that gets to him, and he might pull through and win just because I feel like the atmosphere that night might be in his favor. Just the showman in me. Yeah. So.
I think that might be the greatest points that Chris Clark has ever made on this show.
I think so.
I say that sincerely. That I'm almost wanting to change my pick after thinking about him flying from.
Really?
Hawaii to
You
New
think
York.
that's gonna do it?
That's big, man. That's big, man. That's wear and tear and exhaustion. Like, I feel like I'm sucked out of life whenever I leave the West Coast and just come back to Central Time. Like, I feel like, what in the hell happened? To go from Hawaii? What's the time difference there?
So it's, I think...
What's the time difference
6
between
hours.
Hawaii and New York City?
6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah.
In New York, it's 10:48 p.m.
That's not what I was asking, you idiot.
Why is she British?
She's Australian.
Oh, then Australian?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Margot Robbie. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Anyway, I think that I am going to...
All right, I forgot. Next time we'll just ask Margot, hey, what time is it in New York?
Yeah, I think I'm picking Jeff Snyder.
Okay, good for you. You're wrong. No, I mean, look.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. Now I don't know.
I mean, I feel pretty confident in my pick in Paul. I really do. And it's nothing against Snyder. It's just that Paul's played 5 matches this year. He beat Dan Murrell. Like,
I know.
that kind of... Imagine the kind of confidence you get from that kind of a win.
Yeah, I don't know if the Trivia SD article is up yet, but I was asked for my pick for Trivia SD.
Yeah, it should be up now.
I said, okay. So I said that it is going to be exactly who I proclaimed it to be, and that is Paul Oyama. So I'm going to stick with that. But anyway, let's go around the table. We've talked long enough, Frank Janisch. The boat is done. The boat has other work to do. He's a very busy person. So let's go to you. Where can people find you and follow you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. And if you go to my Twitter page on my pinned tweet, I made a little short video when I was in Hawaii. It's I call it The Wave. It's a little 2-minute thing. You take a look at it, appreciate it, and you can leave me mean comments how badly it stinks. Thanks.
How did he know I was going to do that? Chris Clark, where can people find you?
You can find me. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing, and be sure to check out the Schmoedown Classic feed. Season 4 is now up. Bada bing, bada boom.
How many episodes is that classic?
Awesome.
It's 126, almost 130.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the last batch went up last night. I have to check, but yeah.
Damn. And you can find me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. Check out the Hall of Fame. We just did our 70th show this past Saturday. We're going to be off this Monday, but check out that show. Really fun. A&E was there filming Booker T's biography. Your boy was on camera. I don't know if they're going to use it, but I hope that they do. Also, check out my newest episode of the Brad Gilmore Show, where I interview the lovely and talented Lola Monroe. She got a new record coming out on Friday called Blah Blah. If you don't know who Lola Monroe is, you can find me on all social media once again at Brad Gilmore. And until next week, the boat has set sail.